Recognition, power, and influence is your birthright, and this podcast shows you how to get there. Welcome to episode number 256. Today's episode is coming out the week of Thanksgiving in the United States, and I'm really using this as an opportunity to think about everything that I am grateful for in my life over the past year. And in today's episode, I am sharing with you a simple gratitude practice that you can begin implementing and even take some time to reflect upon this week. Even if you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, it's a great milestone and mile marker of the fall to really say, okay, what is the abundance in my life and how do I want to create more of that in the coming year? I am also celebrating with you today some of the big accomplishments that we have made inside the leadership table. These women are doing extraordinary things, really changing the face of the leadership table and raising their hand, asking for more, and creating huge opportunities for themselves, all while still being themselves. This doesn't go without saying. If you've tried to advance your career while bringing your whole self to the table, you know how difficult that can be. So I'm truly grateful for them. I'm grateful for you, my audience, and all of the people who have shared my mission and really taken the steps necessary to be their own change. So I am so grateful for you and thank you in advance for celebrating with me. And let's get started. Welcome to Women Changing Leadership. I am your host, Stacy Mayer, and I teach you how to get promoted, get paid, and bring your whole self to the leadership table. I am on a mission to change organizations from the C-suite out because women are the new face of leadership, and we are doing it on our terms. Hello, corporate badasses. Welcome to another episode of Women Changing Leadership. I am your host, Stacy Mayer, and super excited, as always, to be here with you again this week. The week that this episode comes out is Thanksgiving in the United States, and I like to take this as an opportunity each year to give thanks and to really show and express gratitude for all of the hard work that the women that I work with are doing, and also for myself for the hard work and the ability to always stretch and grow myself in bigger and more profound ways each and every year. And so I thought today's episode could be a great opportunity to express some of that gratitude and to also share with you some of the ways that I am learning to use gratitude in my life as a spiritual practice. So yesterday we had a call with my leadership table mastermind. This is an incredible, oh my goodness, incredible group of women. And it's really the focus of my gratitude and where I'm at today. These are the women that fuel everything that I teach. They teach me. I grow, I stretch myself because of them, and I have a business because of them, not because they are my clients, but because they show me what is possible truly, and I get to practice. We get to practice together as a community, as a group. One of the things that became very apparent to me in yesterday's conversation is it feels to me like this group, and I've had the leadership table. Oh gosh, I think I started it in 2021, maybe. So a lot of the women in this group a lot of them came from one-on-one coaching even before that. So I've been working with some of these women in this group for almost 4 or 5 years, and they keep coming back every 6 months. And I think that as I reflected on yesterday's conversation, it's in large part because we're essentially creating a secret society for women's leadership, an opportunity for women to connect behind closed doors in a way that men have been doing for millennia. And this is a space for them to not only share, to offer advice, to talk about hard subjects, to support other women, but also to support and grow their own spirituality. And that is something that I think a lot of women crave and a lot of women desire, but they don't have opportunities necessarily to do that, especially in a corporate environment. And then you add on the secret sauce that we're doing this and appreciating and exploring our own spirituality and connection to the greater universe or God or whatever that might be for you, all while we're getting promoted and we're getting into higher level leadership positions and we're asking for more. We're creating, truly creating the life that we want to be leading. And I'm using we on purpose here because, yes, I am the leader of this group, but we are collectively lifting everybody up. And it's special. It is a special place to be. So, if you're listening to this episode and you want to be a part of the secret society, it is by referral only. And I welcome you to connect with me, to start working with me directly if you haven't yet. I have some very accessible ways to do that right out of the gate. And really just to say hi and thank you for the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing. All right. So I opened up yesterday's conversation with the idea of gratitude as a practice. So, the first thing I want to share with you is my point of view about gratitude and how it's shifted over the years. Essentially, I'm a very positive thinker, glass is half full. My mom always taught me everything happens for a reason. I look for the bright side in everything. I'm very optimistic. I'm hopeful, I'm grateful on a regular basis. I understand my privilege. I use that as a tool, what I would say up until the last couple of years as part of my personality. It's just like my identity, it's how I see myself, it's how I feel about myself. I think in general I'm a pretty grateful person. But you might be somebody who's heard of people or maybe you have your own gratitude practice, something that you actually do on a regular basis that brings that level of gratitude into your life. And I first heard of this concept like a year or so ago where somebody introduced gratitude as actually a mindfulness practice, something that you can actively do, similar to meditation, going for a walk, taking a deep breath, putting your fork down between bites at your meals, right? Whatever that might be that brings you back into the present moment. And he described gratitude as a practice. And so people who right before they go to bed, they write down 3 things that they're grateful for. I used to kind of blow this stuff off because I felt like, well, I'm already pretty grateful. Already a pretty positive person. So I don't really need that. Now, fast forward to mindfulness practice. I also have a tremendous amount of anxiety, stress, worry. I'm a high achiever. I'm a perfectionist in a lot of unnecessary ways. So I push myself really, really hard. And so the way he was introducing this is gratitude as a mindfulness practice. I was like, oh, this is an incredible opportunity for me to take a step back and to really see the abundance in my life. And the good thing is that when you do that, you start to create more abundance in your life. We're looking for the signs, the things that are working, and we are asking the universe for more of that. So, an example of a really simple gratitude as a practice thing that you can do this week is before you go to bed, you write down 3 things that you're grateful for that day. That's it. And then close up your journal and go to bed. And how many of you are somebody who wakes up in the morning and for no reason is worrying about something? Like I'm there a lot of times. And so there is a lot of work that is done while we're sleeping. And so I think that this was presented to me as something that you can do in a really simple way to set yourself up to think about the right things, the things that are really going to set you up for the next day to be successful right before you go to sleep. So, this is very similar to rewiring your brain through a meditation practice. You can start to rewire how you see the world through having an actual simplified gratitude practice. Each year around Thanksgiving, I record a podcast episode about gratitude. I always try and give thanks more than I normally do and really think about the abundance that is in my life and as sort of a reflection point to think about what I want to bring more of in the new year. Another part of the leadership table, and I think one of the key ways that we bring spirituality into our conversations is in every week when we meet, I do oracle readings. And I'm not going to go into the details of the oracle cards and how they work, except for the fact that it's not like a tarot reading. It's very different. And the real purpose of this is to connect with our inner self, our wiser self, our own intuition, and to really kind of take ourselves out of the struggle that we might be feeling, whether it's at work. And then the other piece of it is to bring that level of spirituality to our work. A lot of women will be a part of other spiritual groups or perhaps church organizations or things like that, where you bring spirituality into your family life. Like you may literally go to things on Sundays or on the weekends or at night, and you have that level of spirituality in your personal life. But what I'm really trying to do is marry that into your work day. And just like we have these meetings in the middle of work. And many of my clients, their organizations pay for this coaching as well, because I'm helping them advance their careers. This is what we're doing. But also, what we're doing is one of the ways that we're advancing our careers is by truly connecting and trusting ourselves. So I ask a different prompt question. And so I encourage you to do this for yourself. You can do it in one of two ways. If you already have an Oracle deck, then use the Oracle cards to answer this question for yourself. You can also journal to this question. You can set a timer for, 3 minutes and journal whatever comes to mind and as an answer to this question. You could also purchase an Oracle deck and ask yourself this question next week sometime. You could ask somebody else this question. You can start a gratitude mindfulness practice at night where you just write down 3 things that you're grateful for. But here's the question that I proposed to the group, and I really offer to you to do this as well as a practice. The question I ask them is, what is one thing that I am currently overlooking that I could be grateful for? And one of the things I didn't even realize when I created this question was it's something that you already do well. So the first thing that might come to mind is like something that you should be doing more of. But I really want you to contemplate that this thing, and that's why the Oracle cards are so helpful, is because you're going to draw what you're going to draw, is something that you already do really, really well. So I'll give you an example. The card that I drew said signs, SIGNS. And it's basically a card referring to signs that we see in the world, like signs that give us a clue as to what type of action we should take, how we should proceed, ways that we can move forward. And if I look at it from that lens of something that I already do well, then I say, oh my God, I look for signs everywhere. I'm constantly asking for a sign. When I have a difficult decision to make, I will close my eyes, take a deep breath, and then reopen them and ask for a sign on which direction I should take. And this is something that I've always had a practice in my life. But when I look at this question and then I drew that card, it made me think maybe I'm overlooking that as a practical tool, as a way to be grateful that I even have the ability to see signs, that I even have the ability to ask for signs, that I have that intuition inside of me to really look outside of myself and get guidance. So I'm super grateful for that. And then I journaled some last night about why that's such a big deal in my life and how I can continuously to be grateful for that. So that was an example of something that you're already doing really well, and that maybe you could be, spend a few minutes of gratitude on that and find ways to do that more. All right, now I want to get into the part of my episode where I'm truly grateful for the women in my life, the women who are doing the work and who are putting themselves out there. And I want to spend the next few minutes on this podcast episode to kind of walk through the leadership table and some of the really incredibly big things that these women are doing. And I am so profoundly, profoundly grateful for every single woman in this group. Like it is unbelievable how they're putting themselves out there and pushing for more and saying yes to themselves. And I'm just so inspired. So I thought maybe you could be inspired by them as well. And use this as an opportunity to reflect on yourself, what you're really proud of and grateful for this past year in ways that you have grown, in the ways that you have raised your hand, in the ways that you have taken action before you were ready. And really take a minute to be grateful for that. And let me know, right? Like send me a note, send me a direct message on LinkedIn. I would love to hear from you. Something that you have done this year, big, small wins, whatever that is, everything matters. Your leadership matters, and you growing into higher level leadership positions is much bigger than you. It matters. So I'm super grateful to be able to help you do that. So I'm just going to kind of go through the list. I don't want to use people's names, but I'm looking at some of the clients inside of the leadership table and thinking about who they are and really considering what it is that I believe is so powerful about their leadership. So I'll start with the first woman, and I'm just going to use an initial making stuff up just to have a placeholder. But I was thinking about Dee, and she puts herself out there so hard, and she has been working so hard at work in order to find ways to work with a boss that is not necessarily the best boss. Now, she is not necessarily the worst boss that this woman has ever had, but she is definitely very contrarian and gives my client a hard time on a regular basis. And my client has found a way to really connect with her, to still be authentic to herself, but also to give her boss some wins, which has really turned her boss around on her and the ways that her boss sees her. And the two of them have really been able to collaborate and become partners. And I'm just so grateful for the ways that she has turned that relationship around. I'm also thinking about M, who in the past year has really embraced a role as an individual contributor, coming from a job where she was a director level and managing a large team into an individual contributor role. But now she is building out an entire function, and really to just have that trust and guidance in herself to know that this was not a lateral move. This was not a step backwards. This was actually a step forward that is clearly propelling her career in ways that she doesn't even know yet are possible. I'm thinking about S, who is going through major, major changes at work. And she said to me just the other day that the best thing that she feels right now is peace. Not because she's like, oh, whatever happens and, I'm just going to remain calm, but just peace in her strength and trust that she is in control and that she knows what's next. And I'm always so inspired by her ability to make forward progress despite all of the chaos that happens around her. She is just truly an incredible, incredible woman. Another woman, S, is also kind of dealing with some major changes at work, but yet she's still raising her hand for more. She's saying, hey, I want to be here to lead this team at a higher level, and you need me now more than ever. And so even though there is a lot of chaos and uncertainty and layoffs happening, she is still saying, I want to be a part of this team and I want to grow with this organization. And she's doing it with her head on straight. It's really incredible to watch. She is truly, truly amazing. I'm thinking about Jay, who is moving herself into another position at work, and she is continuously growing and using my always be interviewing approach to look for opportunities outside as well and to really keep her eye on the prize. She knows what position she wants. And even though she didn't tick all the boxes on this external interview, she went for it anyway. And now she's finding herself in the final rounds. And she actually said to me, I don't even know why. I don't know why they're still interviewing me. And I'm like, I know why. And let's continue going down that path. You don't have to change anything. You don't have to change who you are. You are showing up perfectly imperfect. And then if this organization hires her in that way, she's going to have so much more success as a result of her ability to do that, not to contort herself into who she thinks they need, but to really just truly show up in these interviews in a strong, powerful way. I'm thinking about Elle, who's in an individual contributor role, and she's really making sure that she builds relationships, that she thinks ahead of time, that she puts herself out there, that she raises her hand, and not just like, oh, I want to apply for this director level role because I feel like I should be in that type of position, but truly building relationships along the way so that when and if another role, another opportunity comes up, it's going to be a no-brainer for her to slide into that position. And she's going to have the skills around her, the communication skills to really be able to make her mark in that role. I'm thinking about S, who is now looking at an opportunity that is bigger than herself. It was an opportunity that she at first was like, "Oh, I don't know if I want to do this. I don't know if I want to move. I don't know if I want to, take a lower salary cut. I don't know." And instead of worrying about all of that stuff, I said, "Let's get the role first. Let's get the offer first, and then we'll worry about the negotiations later." And now she has this opportunity to actually negotiate, and they're listening to her because she presented her value in this interview process. And she really showed up as such a powerful leader that they want her on the team and they don't want anybody else. So they are bending over backwards to try and find ways to make this work and to make it a mutual win-win situation for everybody. This is huge. I'm thinking about T, who is now overcome so many challenges at her work. It's like I don't even recognize her anymore, that she is just really showing up incredibly powerfully. And now she is has these dual opportunities where she has this possibility to create a new role for herself at work while she's also in the final stages of interviewing for her dream role. It's really incredible. And her whole demeanor has shifted. The things that she worries about are different, and I can really tell that she has overcome and like made it and transitioned to that next level to really step into leadership. I'm thinking about Dee, who has been fighting so hard against a bunch of male leaders in huge reorgs that are happening at her organization to stand her ground to say, "This is the role that I want. This is where I want you to place me as part of these reorgs." And even though people are kind of like, "Well, we're not sure," she's coming back with the paperwork. She's coming back with the business case. She's saying, "Hey, no, this is valuable. This is matters. My leadership matters. We need more women at the table, and I am ready to be that woman." And she is fighting and fighting in such a good, strong, powerful way. I'm thinking about C, who has been working for a promotion for several years and has gotten sponsors who have left her company. She is tried many different routes, had many different promises, and now she is finally at the point where she's having multiple people work on her behalf to actually say, "Hey, let's do something for her because now is her time and we need to open and create a role for her." And now she has more opportunities in front of her and she has a future path. It doesn't look exactly like the path that she thought she was going to create for herself, but she has a lot more promise and a lot more future potential in the current situation that she's in. And she's got a ton of support, not just one sponsor, but many, many sponsors. This happened through the way that she was communicating and then her direction and her drive and the ability to have these strong, hard conversations. I am so grateful for her. I am thinking about M, who is willing to kind of think outside of the box, to take a role that other people at her organization are like, "Why are you doing that?" And she trusted her intuition and she said, "No, I'm going to do this anyway. And I am going to fight for what I believe in." And then she reverse engineered it and now is putting together the story that said, "Why are you doing this?" So she was willing to leap before she was ready. She trusted her gut that this would be a strong move for her. And now it's going to continue to open up doors. And this ability to kind of take a zigzag approach to her career is going to create the rest of her career, which is inevitably always a zigzag approach anyway, if you think about it. I'm thinking about A, who recently her boss and her friend and a colleague got laid off, or actually, I think she quit the organization. And then she has now been put in a position where she has to really step up her game without a promotion, without a title change, but just the level of responsibility on her shoulders. And instead of being like entitled and like, "Well, give me the title to go along with this," which I definitely is a time and a place. She is learning how can she stretch herself so that she can really show them she is ready for that next level of leadership. And she's also asking for more. I'm thinking about another A who is also working and really She's looking for her next leadership role in such a profound way and really thinking about what are the opportunities ahead of her? How can she show up as that executive ahead of time and really claim these opportunities for herself? She's calling in energetically so many powerful conversations. And then now, because she has been able to kind of cast a wide net, now she's able to be much more strategic and focused on what happens next for her. And I have no doubt that the next role for her is like right around the corner, and it's going to be bigger, badder, bolder, better than anything she has ever had before. I'm thinking about S, who worked so hard in a previous role as an executive leader and got crushed. And she was able to pick herself back up again in the interview process. And when I first met her, she was going to go for lower level roles. She felt like leadership wasn't for her. By the time we ended up working together for just 2 months, she was able to believe again, to remember again that this was a particular moment in time where she was set up to fail. And that has nothing to do with her leadership, and that she is strong and powerful, and she's going to bring everything she has into this new role that she just landed. I am so grateful for her and her courage and her ability to reframe different situations that have happened to her. I'm thinking about P, who works at an organization with a ton of chaos around her, but yet this entire time she has been able to stand up for herself, to have very difficult conversations with her new boss, to say, hey, this is what I want. She had the ability to fight for her team, to keep her team even amidst huge reorgs and layoffs, and to really put together a business case and to say, hey, this is why we need to keep this team here. And even amongst all of that, she is spreading her net wide and looking for opportunities to be able to continue to grow and develop as a leader. I am so grateful for every woman inside of the leadership table, for all the women who have trusted me with their leadership journey over the past several years. And I'm grateful to all of the listeners, every client that I have, because you matter. The work that you're doing, the fact that growth is one of your top core values, the fact that you are putting yourself out there, that you're raising your hand, that you're getting support, that you're not trying to do this on your own is huge. The fact that you're willing to bring spirituality into the conversation, willing to trust the oracle cards. I'm so grateful for my ability to trust myself to be able to lead these types of spiritual conversations. I have been doing this work on myself for so long, and I am so grateful now to be able to share it with many, many other women. I am thankful to every single listener of this podcast. That includes you. Even if this is your first time listening, I am grateful for everything that you do. And I wish you such abundant success in the upcoming year. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you next week. Bye. Before you go, I have a question for you. Do you know how close you are to your next promotion? Really? Not what your boss has told you, not what you even believe to be true, but have you actually taken the time to sit down, take an assessment, review the 5 categories that it takes to get promoted into senior executive leadership positions, and decided where you fall in each category, and given yourself a ranking on a scale of 1 to 10 of how close you are to getting your next promotion? Have you done this? Well, now's your chance. If that feels interesting to you and you're like, hey, I want to know exactly how close I might actually be, or how far away you might be, and what it's going to take to get you even closer, then I invite you to take my promotability quiz. This is a quiz that I put together with practical tips that actually tell you where you're lacking and where you're winning. What are the areas that you actually need to improve, and not necessarily what your boss is telling you all the time, so that you can take concrete steps towards landing that next promotion and changing the face of the leadership table. Go to yourpromotabilityscore.com to take your free assessment today.